right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Today is Monday, August the 28th, 2023. We have a very large gathering in the audience this evening, and I want to welcome all of you to our council meeting this evening, as well as those who are joining us online. We certainly hope that you find our meeting to be very informative this evening. At this time, I'm going to call on our City Secretary, Jennifer Evans, to provide a roll call. Ms. Evans?
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Hart? Here. Ms. Matlock?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Page?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
We do have a full council this evening, and our invocation and pledge will be led by Councilmember Jay Davis. If everyone will please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight. Just thank you for the many blessings that we have, and just ask that you give us wisdom tonight as we make decisions for the city. Just continue to keep our community healthy and safe, and just be with those that protect us. Lord, just ask that you be with all the school districts as they have started, and just be with them, with all the children that they have to raise up to one day be great citizens for Texarkana, and just be with us tonight. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Pull this chair in.
First item on our agenda this evening is involving special recognition and presentation. So we have two areas under this category. The first is a Citizens Life-Saving Award, and then second will be a proclamation recognizing the United Way of Greater Texarkana, their kickoff this week, and also this is their centennial celebration for the United Way, 100 years of service, and we have Mark Bledsoe in the audience this evening who will be accepting the proclamation a little bit later on. This evening we have a very, very special item on our agenda where we recognize someone for what we refer to as a life-saving award. It's one of our TW employees, Mr. Devin Bruce. And we also have in the audience this evening Mr. Freddie Shedlock. Mr. Shedlock, along with his wife Christy, are here. Mr. Shedlock is a well-known realtor here in Texarkana, whom I've known for many years. We have a very good relationship as far as working together on various activities in the community. And so Mr. Shedlock is here this evening to show or express his sincere appreciation on an event that occurred earlier this month. And so I would like to, first of all, read a letter that Mr. Shedlock has written, and then we will do some further recognition beyond that. This letter is dated August 15th, 2023. To whom it may concern. On Friday, August the 4th, 2023, I was weed eating the property that I own in a new subdivision on Kennedy Place Street in Texarkana, Arkansas around noon. After working for about an hour, I could tell that I needed to take a break. I was in the back of the cul-de-sac near the drainage ditch and decided to sit on the curb of the ditch. When I stepped into the ditch, my legs gave out on me and I fell to the ground. I'm not sure if I passed out from heat exhaustion or not, but once I realized that the concrete was burning me, I tried getting up and could not. I was physically exhausted and could not pull myself out of that ditch. I knew my body was burning, especially my hands, but couldn't do anything about it. After a while, I heard a truck drive up. I couldn't see the truck or the driver because I was face down in the ditch. I was yelling for help. Thankfully, the man heard me, Mr. Devin Bruce, and finally saw me lying in the ditch. Mr. Bruce came over to assist, but was cautious in moving me because he didn't know if I had any injuries. He ran to the neighbor's home, Nelton and Beverly Adkins, to get assistance. All three of them came to my aid. Mr. Bruce and Mr. Adkins were able to get me off the concrete and seated on the curb. They immediately called 911 and began trying to cool me down. Mrs. Atkins held an umbrella over me for shade while Mr. Bruce poured cool water on me. By this time, I was unaware of what was going on. I'm not sure how long I had been lying in the ditch before Mr. Bruce found me. I'm sure it was probably over an hour or so. All I know is that if Mr. Bruce hadn't found me, I'm not sure how much longer I would have survived lying in a concrete ditch in the 110-degree heat that day. Once the ambulance arrived, they immediately began to give me fluids and tried to cool my body temperature down. I was taken to Wadley Hospital, ER, and stayed in the hospital for 3 days. I had first-degree burns on my legs, face, stomach, and second-degree burns on my hands. I'm extremely grateful that Mr. Bruce was in the subdivision that day checking the fire hydrant for TWU. I feel Mr. Bruce saved my life and should be commended for the immediate effort. Mr. Bruce is and will always be the hero that saved my life. Sincerely, Frankie Shedlock. And so this is a very, very touching story of one of our TWU employees coming to the aid of one of our citizens. And Mr. Shedlock, I know that you're here. Do you have any, would you like to share some remarks to the audience this evening? If so, if you would come up to the podium. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I thought you might would like to share a few remarks in reference to what you endured and how that was successfully rendered.
Well, you pretty well covered it in the letter that I wrote to you. And the only thing that I'd like to say about this is it's kind of like, well, why did this happen to me? Well, I had been over in that property, bush hogging, on Thursday, and I spent pretty much that whole day in the heat between there and a farm I own in Maud. And basically what I feel happened to me is I had heat exhaustion from, I've just been out in the heat for too long without a break in between times. I work out a lot of times in the heat. It doesn't really bother me, and I stay hydrated. But however, it just seemed like this time I couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't control anything. I mean, just when I went down, all I could think of is I know I'm burning. I mean, I've got a burn on this hand right here. It's as big as a baked potato standing in your hand. That's how that blister come up on that hand. And when the ambulance got there to me, he asked why I told him about my hands burning. And so he didn't see anything. And at the time when you get me checked in the hospital, it doesn't, they're red, but that's about it. So I'm complaining about that. Well, he gave me some rolled up gauze and sprayed it with some saline solution and said, just hold on to these till we get to the hospital and maybe they can help you too. And so that's what I did. But the bruise here was real small, real insignificant. You can tell of a couple layers of skin missing, but boy, this one right here, I mean, it covered the whole hand.
And of course, you're right-handed, right?
Right-handed, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but when you're working outside, I mean, we've all been told, stay hydrated, don't do this, don't do that. I feel embarrassed that this happened to me because I know better than to not stay hydrated and not take care of what I'm doing. I've got too much to live for.
We all do.
So, I mean, the biggest thing right there.
Thank you, sir.
That's about it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Shedlock, thank you very much. We appreciate your sharing your remarks. Also, Mr. Devin Bruce. Mr. Bruce, where are you located? Would you like to come up and share some remarks as well?
I'm not much of a talker, But when that happened, all I could think about was God, because on that certain day, I wasn't even supposed to be at that address at that point in my route. I was working in a different truck that day because my original truck was in the shop, and I had left a tool that I normally use on my route for a couple spots on my route. So instead of going back to get it, I just decided to skip around to it, and it skipped me right to Mr. Shedlock. So, Mr. Frankie. So all I can say is it's a blessing to be a blessing, and I'm honored and grateful to have saved them.
Hand of God.
All right. Mr. Bruce, we have a special presentation. I'm going to step down front. Frankie, if you'll please come back up to front. Mr. Bruce. Also, Darren with LifeNet is here. Kenny Eisenhower from TW. Kenny, if you will come up, please, and I'll read this certificate that we'll present to Mr. Bruce. So we certainly want to express our sincere gratitude this evening for Mr. Devin Bruce. Also, we want to thank LifeNet, Aaron, your great staff to do an incredible job serving our citizens each day in emergency situations, and appreciate the great work that you all do as well. And so at this time, I'll present the certificate, which reads as follows. Texarkana Water Utilities, Citizens Life Saving Award, Devin Bruce. Awarded this day, Monday, August 28th, 2023, for outstanding service to your fellow citizen by rendering practical and comforting assistance until help arrived. Your quick action and selfless aid made a difference in our community. The City of Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana Water Utilities appreciate your contribution. The certificate has been signed by Kenny Eisenhower, Assistant Executive Director, and also has been signed by David Orr, City Manager. David, if you'll come on up too, we'll get a group photo. And so, Mr. Bruce, I would like to present this to you on behalf of these entities as well as on behalf of the City Council for your outstanding service to TW, and in this situation, your outstanding service to one of our fellow citizens. It's greatly appreciated, and we thank you for what you do. Your efforts are noted, and they are appreciated. Thank you very much, sir.
How is he related to Mary? Oh, one of them could be, he could be one of her sons, couldn't he? And didn't Mary have a doctor or a brother? Dr. Bruce, I knew he passed away, but. Yeah, she was.
All right, our second special presentation this evening is a proclamation, and it's presented to the United Way. Mark, I'm going to have you, if you'll please come up and stand at the podium here. And what I'm going to do before I read the proclamation, I'm going to just call on you. You're welcome to provide any remarks as far as what it means to celebrate 100 years with the United Way, and a little bit about perhaps the upcoming campaign. And I'll just turn it over to you for your comments. Then I'll have you join me up front for reading the proclamation, and I'll present it to you, sir. And then we'll present it again Thursday at the meeting.
Thank you very much, Bob. I appreciate it. Honorable Mayor, sorry about that.
It's Bob. Just Bob's fine.
And the council.
I'm a baseball umpire. I've been called everything. So, all right, go
I
ahead.
haven't been one of those, though. Haven't been official myself. I don't do that.
Okay, good, good.
I appreciate the balls and strikes. You do a wonderful job. I don't care what they say.
All right, thank you.
It's good to see a lot of you here. I hadn't seen Miss Betty in quite some time. Jay, I listen to you every now and again on the radio. And anyhow, to the group that's here today, 100 years. I was really excited about coming up, but then to hear the story about Mr. Frankie Shedlock, it makes you appreciate those things in life that are a lot more important. And I appreciate your service and everything that you did to take care of my buddy there. I sold the real estate a long time ago, and he was kind of a mentor in his ways, and means a lot for the community. Well, the United Way has been around for 100 years. Bob, that's longer than you and I.
Right.
You know, 1924 is when it was started. Many of you may have bought shoes from a Mr. Watson Shoes down on Broad Street. H.H. Watson, he was the first chairman of the United Way back then, and then he also, the year after, became the first president. And so we're excited to have served the community for 100 years. Having gone through all the press clippings, you just don't realize everything that has happened, all the groundwork that was laid by those ahead of us. And the United Way wants to continue to do that for another 100 years, and that's certainly our plan. But I would like to extend a welcome to the council members here today to come out and join us on Thursday at noon there at the Texarkana, Texas Convention Center. We have a nice celebration planned. We have someone from United Way Worldwide that's going to come in. We have some awards that are going to go out to a couple of people that are being recognized as pioneers. We have some other awards for those agencies that we were partners with back in 1924 that are still partners today. So it'll be a wonderful celebration, and it's great to be in a community that cares. You know, and I say that all the time. It's neighbors taking care of neighbors, and you really can look around at just what happened with Frankie. You know, somebody that just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of care to render the support, and so that we have a citizen that's going to be around for a few more years, Frankie. Anyways, yeah. Hopefully we won't see him out in 110-degree heat anymore. We've learned. And I can attest, he's a little bit hard-headed, having dealt with it. But we love you, and we're glad you're here. But anyways, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you. But the invitation's there for you to come out. There's no charge. Just simply need to call our office, kind of to RSVP, please. Okay?
All right, that sounds good. I happened to have the honor back in the 1990s to serve as a campaign chair, and it was a very memorable experience under the direction of the late Colonel Jack Donaldson.
Back in 1998, to
Okay,
be exact, that was our 74th year.
Okay, all right. So I knew it was 90-something, so
Yes.
98. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to step down and present a proclamation to you on behalf of the city and the community, and we'll do that now.
Thank you.
Gotta get a picture. What happened to the lady that was taking pictures? David will do it. Oh, she is? Okay.
Hey, Texarkana, USA Proclamation, United Way Centennial
Oh, there she is,
Celebration
yeah.
and Kickoff Week, August 31st through September 8th, 2023. Whereas it is desirable, fitting, and proper to commemorate events of great significance to Texarkana, USA, not the least of which is United Way activities and its contributions to our cities and surrounding areas. And whereas Texarkana, USA has been made a better place to live through the work of the United Way for 100 years. And whereas the financial and volunteer support of all Texarkanians is essential to maintain the United Way and all the social service programs it provides. And whereas the Great United Way Centennial Celebration and Kickoff will be held on August 31st, happens to be my brother's birthday, at 12 p.m. at the Texarkana, Texas Convention Center to demonstrate the supportive commitment to this program. Be it therefore proclaimed the week beginning August 31st through September 8th, 2023, is hereby the United Way Kickoff Week in Texarkana, USA, and all citizens are urged to support its campaign with generous contributions and participation. I have signed the proclamation. It's been attested by Jennifer Evans, City Secretary for the City of Texarkana, Texas. Mayor Alan L. Brown, the mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, has also signed the proclamation, and it's also been attested by Heather Sawyers, City Clerk, City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and the two cities' seals have been affixed to the proclamation. So, Mark, we want to congratulate the United Way of Greater Texarkana for 100 years of service and another 100 years to come. So, thank you very much for your service and all that you do and in serving our community. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you and everyone on this council.
Thank you.
For what you do. Appreciate it. Take a couple photos. Okay. Just want to take it with you and we'll read it Thursday. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. At this time, move along with our agenda for mayor's remarks and items of community interest. I don't really have any remarks this evening, so just as a reminder, our upcoming council meetings for the month of September will be held on Monday, September the 11th, and the 25th of September at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Parks and recreation activities on September the 9th. The fall Dixie baseball season begins at Spring Lake Park. Also on September the 9th, the Fall Soccer League begins at Wallace Park. And on September the 9th, the SABA Stick Camp begins also at Wallace Park. You can refer to the city's website or give the city a call for further information about parks and recreation activities. At this time, we'll move along to our open forum comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. However, if you are here this evening to speak on behalf of one of our public hearing items, then I respectfully ask if you will please wait until we get to that particular item, and then we'd be more than happy to listen to your comments. We also ask that you please complete one of the sheets on the wall, on the rack there by the door, so we'll have a written record of your presence this evening. Ms. Evans, did you have any sheets turned in? Okay, there were not any sheets turned in, but is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Okay, not seeing anyone coming forward. We'll now move along to appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Do we have any appointments by the council this evening for boards, commissions, and committees? Hearing none, we'll move along to items for consideration. We do have two items on the consent agenda. Item 1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on August 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Item 2 is resolution number 2023-116, implementing the new section 212.0081 of the Texas Local Government Code by adopting a written list of all documentation and other information that the city requires to be submitted with a plat application. And unless a council member would like to pull one of these items or more for consideration, if not, then I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Councilmember White and a second by Councilmember Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Consent agenda has been approved. We now move along to action items. We do have two action items this evening. Item 3 is ordinance number 2023-112, confirming the appointment of Chris Black as Fire Chief for the Texarkana, Texas Fire Department. Council, we will take action on this item this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to our City Manager, Dr. David Orr, for some further remarks in reference to this item. Dr. Orr?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my privilege to recommend Chris Black as our next Fire Chief for the Texarkana, Texas Fire Department. Chief Black is a 26-year veteran of TTFD, an exemplary leader that we are fortunate to have from within to lead our fire department forward. Chief Black began his career with the Texarkana, Texas Fire Department after graduating in 1997, is valedictorian of Kilgore College Fire Academy class. He holds an associate's degree in criminal justice and administration from Texarkana College, an associate's in fire science from Louisiana State University, and a Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences from Texas A&M University, Texarkana. Civil service law requires this appointment be confirmed by the governing body, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Any questions for Dr. Orr? Well, Chief, just want to, on behalf of the council, say congratulations. We thank you for your 26 years of dedicated service to serve our citizens. You've worked in basically every department within the fire department, every classification level, and so just want to thank you. You have a great showing of support this evening by our firefighters who've assembled here this evening. Want to thank them for their service and their attendance here this evening as well. And I'll just turn the floor over to you before we vote on this matter for any remarks or comments that you would like to make, sir.
I just thought of a lot of eloquent things I could say up here tonight, but at the end of the day, it is my honor and privilege to have this opportunity. And what means the most is having the support of the City Council, Dr. Orr and city staff, and probably most of all the support of the Texarkana firefighters. That means a lot. They're why I'm up here. They're the guys I'm rooting for and helping. They're the ones that help the citizens. So I appreciate everybody's support I've had throughout the past year as I've gone through this interim phase and stuff. So we're ready to hit the ground. We're ready to get to work and move forward.
Very good. You've done such an excellent job serving as our interim fire chief, and you've done an excellent job of keeping me informed on matters that have come up or something of a pressing incident or matter that has come up. I really appreciate the heads up on those things and the open communication, and just certainly wish you much success. You'll certainly be in our thoughts and prayers as you move forward in this very important role leading our city, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay. I was talking to the fire chief downstairs before the meeting, and if you're familiar with the agenda, you'll catch this. And so he asked me, he said, "Do you think we're going to have a short meeting tonight, Mayor?" And I said, "Well, I sure hope so, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch." So anyway, so any other final comments before we take action on this item? Okay, very good. So is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis and a second by Councilmember Williams. All right, Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, confirming the appointment of Chris Black as Fire Chief for the Texarkana, Texas Fire Department, containing a repealer clause and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. Chief, thank you very much for your service. It's greatly appreciated, and best of luck to you. All right. As long as you keep those federal sirens on those fire trucks, you'll have my full support. So, all right. Okay, moving along to item number 4, resolution number 2023-115, casting all council votes for one nominee for director on the board of directors for the Bowie Central Appraisal District. Kristen, I'll call on you for any comments you have on this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is something that we do every other year. Currently, our representative is Mr. Davis on the Bowie Central Appraisal District Board. And we have the option of casting all votes for one candidate, or we can distribute them among candidates for a number of directorships. In the past, we've always chosen to cast all votes for one person. And so tonight, we would just need to select a name of who that person would be in order to turn that information over to the appraisal district.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Councilmember Davis has done an excellent job serving in this role. He has also shown a willingness to serve in this role in a continuous manner in the future, and so he is interested in continuing that service. I'll ask if there are any questions from the council. Okay. If not, then we'll place a nomination. What we'll do is we make the motion. If you'll just, whoever makes the motion, you'll say that, I'll nominate or make a motion that Councilmember Jay Davis is appointed to this role, and then we'll second that, and then we'll vote on it. So is that fine, Mr. Lewis? Okay, very good. So, all right, is there a motion for approval?
I move that Councilmember Jay Davis continue to serve in this role.
Okay, all right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Matlock. All right, this item pertains to a resolution, so there's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right. Okay, roll call, Ms. Evans.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hart? Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Abstain.
Ms. Page? Yes. Ms. White?
Yes.
Mayor Brueggemann?
Yes. All right, so that is affirmative vote. So, Mr. Davis, congratulations on your willingness to continue in this very important role with the appraisal district. Anything you would like to share?
Just appreciate the council's support and look forward to continue to working with the appraisal district and representing the city in that manner.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you for your service. We'll now move along to our first briefings. We do have several first briefing items this evening. Item 1 is ordinance number 2023-109, amending PD-88-4 for site plan approval on Lot 6, Parcel 2, Block 3, Galleria Oaks, number 1, located in the 1600 block of Moores Lane. Jan Nelson, power of attorney for Ronald and Rebecca Nelson, owners, and Stacy McKee, agent. Michelle Daniel is going to brief us on this item. Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So this is a request for site plan approval in the 1600 block of Moores Lane. The current property is vacant land, and the requested use is an assisted living facility. The adjacent zoning is agriculture to the north, plan development office to the east, and office to the south and west. The adjacent land use is a residence to the north, offices to the east and west, and a church to the south. The future land use map has designated this property as Business Education Center. The site plan consists of the construction of 3 new 8,700 square foot buildings. The access driveway will be off of Moores Lane, and there will be approximately 27 parking spaces. A 6-foot by 8-foot monument-style sign is allowed. Staff and Planning and Zoning have approved this site plan with the stipulations that I've just mentioned, and I will be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions for Michelle on this item? Okay, all right, very good. Item number 2 is resolution number 2023-111, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with United Healthcare to provide medical insurance benefits for city employees. And we have Mr. J.W. Bramlett, who is going to brief the council on this item. Good evening, J.W.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm actually going to turn this over to Heath Haygood with Hub International. They are our insurance consultant that help us navigate all of our processes of choosing vendors and making sure that we're being fiscally smart with everything that we do with our insurance benefits. So I'm going to turn this over to Heath Haygood to provide some additional information to y'all.
Hey, good. We're glad to have you with us this evening, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mayor, Council. Good evening. Thanks for your time this evening. Again, my name is Heath Haygood. I'm an accounting executive with Hub International. This evening, I'm just here to give you a brief overview of the city's medical coverage and provide our recommendations moving forward into the 2023-2024 plan year. Just a quick background information. Due to some large projected increases in the health insurance this year, and some large claims liability on the plan, we did release an RFP for fully insured and partially self-funded medical plans this year. You currently are partially self-funded with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We did receive 4 proposals from the markets, including Blue Cross Blue Shield stop loss and fully insured, as well as UHC and Liberty Insurance. Due to some large risk on the plan, we did have 16 carriers decline to quote on the city's business. After some extensive meetings with city staff working together to evaluate the proposals, after final negotiations, we will be recommending moving the city's medical coverage from partially self-insured with Blue Cross Blue Shield to fully insured with United Healthcare. Just a few brief reasons why we're making that recommendation moving forward. Financially, preliminary budget estimates showed that remaining self-insured with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the upcoming plan year would result in about a 67% increase to total premium rates. That includes a large increase in stop-loss premiums as well as a $1.6 million laser that would hit the plan. With UHC for the upcoming plan year, which would be our recommendation, moving fully insured, we're looking at a 6% increase to total premiums. UHC has also included a 12.9% second-year rate cap, which essentially means that no matter what happens this next plan year, claims-wise, we won't see more than a 12.9% increase. That's the max liability we'll see next year. Overall, just remaining self-insured at this time is unsustainable with the large stop-loss increase as well as the $1.6 million laser. Moving fully insured will provide some stability moving forward with the health plan. In regards to plan designs and network, the UHC HSA plan will see reduced out-of-pocket maxes as well as reduced cost for prescriptions. So we are seeing some benefit enhancements to the HSA plan that's currently in place. We also will be adding a UHC copay plan that provides an additional option for employees to choose with lower deductibles as well as reduced costs for prescriptions. So across the board, making some plan enhancements with UHC. We also conducted a disruption analysis, which is very important when you're making or recommending a carrier change. You want to make sure that we're having as less disruption as possible for your employees when we're making the change. UHC disruption analysis showed that 100% of the top 50 providers utilized today by your employees will remain in network with UHC. UHC is one of the broadest networks in the United States. That includes over 340 primary care physicians, 9 hospitals, and 16 primary care clinics within 50 miles of Texarkana. A few other factors here. Employees will no longer have to use CVS for their maintenance drugs. I know that's been a pain point for some employees over the past few years. So we'll be doing away with that. The employees will have the ability to choose which pharmacy that's in network, obviously, to use for their maintenance drugs. UHC also provides a rewards wellness program at no cost to the city. This program allows employees to earn up to $300 on an annual basis by completing daily healthy activities. That could be hitting so many steps or having a salad for lunch or things of that nature. So employees have the opportunity to earn that additional $300. Lastly, UHC will also provide the city with dedicated accounts and customer service representatives to assist with any employee questions, as well as any questions that come from the HR department on a day-to-day basis. Overall, moving to a UHC fully insured is going to be the best route for the city to take moving forward. I'm fairly pleased presenting a 6% increase compared to the 67 that we would have seen if we would have continued to be self-insured. With that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions this evening on this matter? I will personally share with you over the years through working with other previous employers, I've had the opportunity of having United Healthcare insurance, and it was excellent insurance. Very good benefits. Claim processing was very smooth, and so it's a very good company.
Yeah.
So I think
They do a great job.
Yeah. So very good. Any other questions or comments this evening? Okay. We certainly thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you all.
Okay. All right. Anything else, JW?
That'll be it. Thank you.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, we'll now move along to item number 3, ordinance number 2023-113, amending Chapter 8, Animal Care and Control, Section 8 through 12, Livestock and Fowl of the Code of Ordinances to authorize single-family households keeping hens and educational institution exception to per-acre livestock limits. And Michelle is back to brief the council on this item. Michelle?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So city staff over the last several months has received several requests to allow backyard hens in single-family residences. And so that's what we're bringing before y'all this evening. What we are proposing is to allow no more than 6 hens per household. Chickens or hens are very good pets, and they can produce eggs for the family to consume, and they can also eat bugs and all table scraps, which would reduce, garbage waste in the landfills. the remaining ordinances for, animal cleanliness will still remain in effect, and I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions for Michelle? You just never know what we're going to have on the agenda. So, anyway, but no roosters.
No,
just hens.
oh, they crow
Just,
too.
just hens.
Okay.
No
All
roosters.
right. Very good. Any questions by the council? Okay. All right. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right. And I failed to mention this in reference to all of our first briefing items. We will have public hearings at our next meeting on September the 11th, as well as council vote that same evening. Once again, September the 11th. Now moving along to item number 4, ordinance number 2023-114, amending the 10-year water and sewer rate structure established by ordinance number 2022-100 by reducing the Riverbend water service fee for fiscal year 23-24 by 65 cents from $4.15 per 1,000 gallons to $3.50 per 1,000 gallons. We have our Assistant Director, Kenny Eisenhower with TWU to brief the council on this item. Good evening once again, Kenny.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and city council members. Good to be here. When we did our rate study this year, it was proposed that the Riverbend fee would be raised to $4.15 per 1,000 gallons. But after a review of some items and some discussions, it was determined that we could actually reduce that to $3.50 per 1,000 gallons for the next budget year.
Any questions for Kenny on this item? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Item number 5 is ordinance number 2023-118, discussing and considering all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Texarkana, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2023, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such certificates. And Kristen is going to brief us on this item as well as the next item. Kristen?
Good evening again. This is the bond issuance that we've been discussing throughout the budget process. And so I'll just give you a little recap of the background. On July 17th, 2023, the council approved a notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation in an amount not to exceed $18.8 million. The first notice of intent was published in the Texarkana Gazette on July 23rd, and the second notice of intent was published on July 30th. Since the publication, staff has not received any feedback from citizens. In order to officially issue the bonds, council must approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance. As you stated earlier, we'll have a public hearing and council vote on this September 11th. So you'll notice that the ordinance itself is blank in several places, and that's because until September 11th, we won't know the final rates and amounts of everything. And Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities will be here at that meeting to discuss everything in detail and the results of the sale and answer any specific questions that you may have. And with that, I'll go. Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm fine.
Well, I just was going to say I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Kristen on this item? Okay, thank you, Kristen. And we do have one more first briefing item. It's item number 6, ordinance number 2023-119, discussing and considering all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Texarkana, Texas waterworks and sanitary sewer system revenue bonds, Series 2023, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such bonds. Kristen?
Good evening again. Again, this is another bond issuance that we've been discussing throughout the budget process. This is the water and sewer revenue bond. On September 26, 2022, the council adopted a 10-year water and sewer rate structure and schedule of increases of water and sewer rates. A proposed revenue bond issuance with an annual payment of approximately $1.5 million in debt service was built into the water and sewer rate structure. Bond proceeds will be used to fund needed water and sewer infrastructure projects and will be paid for with revenue generated under the approved water and sewer rate structure. Again, this is the ordinance is blank in some places, and Jason Hughes will be here on September 11th to discuss all the final details of the sale and to answer any specific questions, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions you have tonight.
Okay, very good, Kristen. Any questions for Kristen on this item? Okay, very good. This completes our first briefings. We'll now move along to public hearings. We do have 4 public hearing items this evening. Item 1 is ordinance number 2023-098, approving the voluntary annexation and zoning district classification of approximately 13.977 acres in the H.S. Janes Headright Survey A-306, 1000 South Bishop Road, to the city limits of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, Highland Park Baptist Church owner. At this time, I declare the public hearing open on this item. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, annexing by petition of landowner the hereinafter described territory of approximately 13.977 acres in the H.S. Janes HRS A-306 to the City of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of said city so as to include said herein described territory within said city limits, granting to all the inhabitants of said territory all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, and the property therein bearing its pro rata part of the taxes levied by the city, assigning said territory to its adjoining ward, incorporating by reference the municipal services agreement, owner consent voluntary annexation between the city and landowner, specifying zoning district classification, providing for the filing of this ordinance with county records, and updating the city boundaries map, containing severability and superseding clauses, containing legislative findings, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Evans. That was a lot. That was a big, lengthy
Big one,
caption, wasn't it?
wasn't it?
Okay. At this time, move along to item number 2, ordinance number 2023-104, approving the full-purpose annexation and zoning district classifications of approximately 175 acres in the H.S. Janes Headright Survey A-306, identified in the Strategic Partnership Agreement with the Macedonia ILO Municipal Utility District, including annexation of a discrete portion of U.S. Highway 59 contiguous to the acreage. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Page and a second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, annexing the hereinafter described territory of approximately 175.563 acres in the H.S. Janes HRS A-306 to the City of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of said city so as to include said hereinafter described territory within said city limits, granting to all the inhabitants of said territory all the rights and privileges of other citizens, binding said inhabitants by all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of said city, and the property therein bearing its pro rata part of the taxes levied by the city, assigning said territory to its adjoining ward, incorporating by reference municipal services described in resolution number 2023-090, incorporating by reference certain municipal services agreements, owner consent and voluntary annexation between the city and certain landowners, specifying zoning district classifications, reaffirming ordinance number 2022-138, authorizing legal sale of malt beverages and wine for off-premise consumption for specific acreage, providing for the filing of this ordinance with county records, and updating the city boundaries map containing severability and superseding clauses, containing legislative findings, and establishing an effective date. That one was definitely longer.
Yes, ma'am, it was. Wow. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the ordinance passes unanimously. Moving along to item number 3, which relates to resolution number 2023-099, approving the fiscal year 2024 master fee list. Before I open the public hearing on this item, I'm going to defer to Kristen to provide the council with some information on this item. Kristen?
Good evening again. I just wanted to give one update to the master fee list since we last met. We have added a deposit to open a water account, which is currently $65, and the proposal is for that to increase to $100. And that's based on the average unpaid bill for 1 month past due is about $100. So we're trying to raise the initial deposit to cover a past due bill if someone does not pay their bill. And this is also in line with our comparison cities. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Any questions for Kristen prior to opening the public hearing? Okay, thank you, Kristen. All right, this time I'll declare the public hearing open on resolution number 2023-099. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward. At this time I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember.
It's not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is September the 11th. I just wanted to jump the gun and get that done. All right, so I apologize. Okay, so forget what I just said. All right, so public hearings tonight. We'll have council vote at the next meeting. I'm sorry we have to delay you, but we'll do that at the next meeting. So, okay. All right. The next one is the same way. All right, so I've caught the next one. So item 4 is ordinance number 2023. Sometimes that dementia just kicks in. Ordinance number 2023-102, amending the budget estimate of the revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, and adopting the budget and appropriating resources for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024. At this time, I declare the public hearing open on ordinance number 2023-102. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward. State your name for the record. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and once again, council will vote on this item at our next meeting on September the 11th, 2023. This concludes our public hearings portion of the agenda. We'll now move along to the city manager's report. Dr. Orr.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a few updates to pass along to you tonight. First off, we received word from Standard & Poor that they will be upgrading the city's utility system rating to an A+ from a rating of A. So we'll send out a draft credit report here soon, and just want to congratulate our TW team on this accomplishment. Also wanted to pass along information on a SWEPCO transmission line that they asked us to notify the public on. This is in West Texarkana area, near Highway 67, but they're working on plans to upgrade transmission lines. Crews will start construction late in 23 and conclude in the fall of 24, and SWEPCO representatives are inviting the public to attend an in-person open house this Thursday, August 31st, from 5 to 7 at Waite Village Elementary School. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, David. All right, we'll now move along to items for discussion. Any staff updates this evening, David? No staff updates, all right. Move along to administrative comments. Any comments by the city council this evening that you would like to share? Okay, all right. And then any closing comments from staff?
No further comments.
No further comments, okay. All right, well, I feel like we've had a very, very good council meeting this evening. We had some great recognition this evening. It's one of my favorite things to do is recognize those who dedicate themselves in life-saving measures and that sort of thing. It's just very, very touching. And so we had a very good dialogue on that this evening. So unless there's any further business to be brought before the council, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. We have a motion by Councilmember White and a second by Councilmember Page. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for being here. Hope you have a great evening.